Okay, when I start, I can and I have harvested my clay, and then you just take clay, dry clay, and sift it, and then you add water until it gets to the right consistency. Or most of the time, I just purchase my clay, and the reason is that you can only do so much. And what I in my mind, this is what I feel like happened, is that the Caddos were such a big civilization that they were able to pull people from making, going into the fields, and they would use young girls, let's say 9, 10, or 11, and 12, and they were the ones that went out and harvested the clay because it's hard work. And I don't have an assistant, and I feel like that they all had assistants because they made so many pots. And what these young girls would do was they would harvest it, and they would gather the clay and dig it, and then they would get it ready for people like myself who were the masters, and then they would be the ones that would actually make the pots. And then after I mix it up, it's best to let the clay age, because it's got to be at a certain consistency. If it isn't aged, it's not going to do as well. And the clay that I have right now, this has been aged, and this is I formed it into a ball. And right now I'm working it so that it's nice and warm. Now, there are a couple ways that I can go into making it, but one of them is after I make the ball, what I've started doing is most of their pots are have a round bottom, and this is the way I start. And okay, there's a couple of reasons for this. Is one, I think you're going to get a better shape quicker. Okay, instead of just putting it down. And then I'll just set this little piece aside, and then later on come on and do. So while I'm doing this, I'll be making 2 or 3 at the same time. So this is kind of what it's going to look like. It really doesn't matter what it looks like, because in the end, there's a lot of shaping to be done. And then the next thing I do is I'm going to add something now. So there's my nice round bottom. And if you set it up, it's going to get too flat on the bottom. So that's what I do. I set it up, and I'm letting the bottom dry out. Now, actually, this is my method because I've never really seen anybody do it this way. But I think that there are probably many, many ways to do this. And the other thing, when I'm making my coil that I'm going to add to my bottom here, when I make it, the Caddos didn't have a flat surface to work from. And so, they're sitting in a bank. They need the water, and I feel like that's the way they made their clay, and then I add this to it, and then work it from there. And what I learned was that you only have one thumb, and as you get older, like I am, you need to really think about what you can do in terms of your physical energy, and then how much your thumb can take, when you're making them. But the clay really does feel good. But that's how I start. And when it gets to a certain point later, I try to use the tools that I thought maybe the Caddos would have used, and I think that's one of the things that I try to do traditionally is think, okay, what would they have done? And And my husband has made these gourd shapers, and they are basically waterproof, and put them in water and let them just get a little ready to use. And then they're the shapers that I use for my pot. When this gets a little bit, maybe we could do this later, this will be, you know, set up a little bit better, and we can work it.